I'm your host, Mr. MegaManFan. Like, share, comment, subscribe. You know all the things to do. And today we are looking at Gunstar Heroes. The first question I have to ask is, why did I take so long to do this? It's one of the most iconic games that was ever released on the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive, and it is beloved by critics and fans alike. So, maybe I was just overwhelmed by how big this game really is, or maybe I just couldn't find the words to sum up how much fun it is to play. But I'm going to give it my best attempt right here and right now anyway. Let's start with the facts. This is the very first game from the team that came to be known as Treasure, a group of ex-Konami employees who wanted to make games like this, but Konami did not see their vision and told them no, so they basically said, I quit, and left and made their own company and made this game. Did they make the right decision? I'd say arguably yes. As for the game itself, it's about a pair of heroes called the Gunstars, appropriate given the name of the game, and they are seeking to save the planet from an evil empire. Pretty typical plot for a 80s or 90s video game. And they do so by picking up weapons and power-ups along the way. It's a run-and-gun style Contra game, as you can see from the footage here. Now, it really doesn't matter whether you play as Gunstar Red or Gunstar Blue. The only thing that matters is that two Gunstars can play together with two different controllers. So if you got a friend, have them join in for the co-op. This is very much a Contra style game where one can play alone and have a ton of fun doing so, but two together really makes this game shine. There are 7 stages, and the first 4 are at your discretion. You can pick any one of those 4, just like you can pick whatever loadout you want. You can have the free shot or the power shot, and from there you can diversify it even further to make it the kind of weapon that you want. Although, in my opinion, and someone's going to disagree, I know, it really doesn't matter what weapon you pick. You've just got to gun everything down as fast as you can, as well as you can, and try to keep your health up. You do have, it's not a life bar per se, but it's a counter. It says vitality. I would prefer it if it was a more graphical representation, but there is also something to be said for knowing exactly how little or how much you have. Each time you get hit by enemy fire or by touching an enemy, you do lose some of that vitality. That number will go down. Although you can occasionally pick up capsules that will restore some of your vitality, and they're easy to spot. They look like health, they look like a heart, so you'll know when you see them that you should pick them up to bring your vitality back up. And what you do is you go around these stages, taking out everything you see, picking up any weapons that you find, getting vitality where you need it, trying to preserve it so you can save it for the bosses, and you explore the stage the best you can. Sometimes you can hang from platforms, sometimes you can scale platforms. It varies from level to level, and there's a lot of variance in Gunstar Heroes, which is one of the reasons this game is so well renowned. Some stages will remind you of the aforementioned Contra, others will remind you of Donkey Kong Country, and at least one will remind you of Mario Party. No, I'm not kidding about that. There's actually a board game in Gunstar Heroes. Treasure was going out of their way to flex their creative muscles. They didn't put any limits on themselves. They said, we want to make a game that's going to stand out, not just amongst its competitors, but amongst the entirety of the Mega Drive library. They did not hold back. They wanted to maximize the 68,000 Motorola processor every way they could. So the graphics shine, the presentation design is flawless in my opinion. They use actual 3D polygonal objects, which is not something you would expect from a Sega Genesis game, and I'm sure that somebody like Coding Secrets would tell us this is actually a trick because they're using foreground and background layers and they're not using 3D polygonal objects. They're just making it appear like they're rotating in 3D, but damn if it's not believable when you're doing a boss fight and the enemy is like moving like a 3DO or a PlayStation character, and you wonder how the Sega Genesis could pull that off. Well, Treasure was an incredibly skilled group of programmers, so they were able to push the Genesis to the limit, and in doing so, created an endearing game that stands the test of time. And thankfully, there are so many different ways to play Gunstar Heroes. It's fun to play it on original hardware, but you can also play it on the Sega Genesis Classics Collection, which is available for Xbox, PS4, and Nintendo Switch. You can get your fix of it through those methods, or you can play it on Nintendo Switch Online. If you have the expansion pass, you can get the Sega Genesis games. You can even get a Sega Genesis controller, which you can charge up through your Switch and use that to play it the original style of controller. It feels the same. I mean, it feels like the same game with the same controller, except there's no longer a cord running to your console and another cord running to your TV. It's pretty remarkable how good it is that way. It's one game that I feel like if you own a Sega Genesis, it's kind of a must-have, but at the same time, because it is such a popular game and so well beloved, there may be reasons that you don't want to own it, because currently, and I wish this wasn't the case, but sadly it is, the Sega Genesis loose price is $80, complete $150, and if you found it new and sealed, almost $400. And if you think, well, I'll get the Japanese version, that's not really going to be that much cheaper. 80 loose, 100 complete, 252 new, and then you're thinking, well, I'll just do the European version then. Wrong. 136 loose, 188 complete, almost $500 new. I hate to say it, folks, if you want a physical copy of this game, it's almost impossible to get around the price that it costs. It's ridiculous, but it is what it is. My advice there would be to save up your money for it, and in the meantime, play it with alternative methods. Play it through Switch Online, the Genesis Classics Collection, through an EverDrive. Mega EverDrive Pro would be perfect in this case. And maybe just pray that you'll find it at a garage sale or a thrift and nobody realized what it was, and then get yourself a score. It's highly unlikely in this day and age, not impossible, very rare, very not going to happen if you just go out and look on your first try. But if you keep hunting, you never know what you may turn up. Anyway, to me, it's worth every penny. That's why I would say it's a treasure beyond measure, pun intended, because Gunstar Heroes is the cream of the crop when it comes to the Sega Genesis library. If you don't own it, find a way to play it. And if you do own it, then consider yourself lucky to have a game that is valuable for a good reason. Sometimes games are valuable because they were printed in low quantities and nobody wanted them, and then suddenly the collector's market was like, oh, hey, this crappy game, there's only a few copies of it, we should scoop it up. This is not one of those cases. It's not a crappy game. It's a wonderful game. So don't just leave it sitting on the shelf, and don't put it in a wad slab and try to get the most for it. Actually take it out of the box and play it. If that makes you too nervous, then dump the ROM and play it through an EverDrive. But this is a game that deserves to be played any way that you can play it. It's so good. I'm Mr. MegaManFan. This has been Genesis Does, and I'm happy that I finally took the time to talk about Gunstar Heroes, and I hope if this is your first time seeing it, that you'll want to give it a try too. The variety of weapons, the variety of stages, the impressive graphics, everything about this game shines, shines, shines. It is not a hidden gem. It is not an obscure gem. This is a true gem, cut, polished, and presented to you on the Sega Genesis or the Mega Drive, or whatever way you can play it. Thanks, Hope you're having a great day and a great rest of your week, and I'll see you again soon with another video.